Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode number 43 of the WP Café show. Welcome along. Hello, Keith. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm very distracted because
Yes.
I am frantically updating something on a client site.
Right.
So it's going to take me another 90 seconds and then
Right.
I'm going to be
Well,
with you.
we'll
So I'll leave you to the intro, Mark. And then
we'll leave you to that.
yeah.
And you need to change your mic to the proper mic as well, please. That would be really
I'll do
good.
that at the same time.
So that all these wonderful people that have joined us can actually hear us.
Yeah,
Or hear you properly. Hopefully, I sound beautifully clear. So
that should be better.
So yes, welcome back to episode 43. It's been a really good and busy week for me actually, which has been good. Got stuck into something really good yesterday, which was nice. But some like proper old school WordPress development, which I really enjoyed. It's one of those where you don't want to put it down. You just keep going until 10 at night, and you're thinking about it, which is great. So today we are going to be talking about something that's come off the back of our full site editing sort of escapade, which we talked about last week. And that is about how much control should you give your clients? How much control do you give your clients? How much control should you give your clients? And maybe the ways of doing that and the sorts of control that involves. So that's kind of our topic for today. As always, before I crack on with that, if you like the WP Cafe show, please consider liking this video below. And if you're not already a subscriber to the YouTube channel, please consider doing that and ringing the notification bell so you get notified of each new episode of WP Cafe. I say this every week, but we haven't done any for a while. We do actually do videos as well as the WP Cafe show on the channel. We haven't actually done one for a while. I was going to do one on our solution for sort of updating block patterns, but I said I've got sidetracked halfway through it and got confused, and I've never actually got around to redoing it. So hopefully at some point in the future, you'll see that video appear on the channel. And if you subscribe, of course, you will no doubt get a notification of that. If you're joining us live on YouTube, then say hi in the channel, in the chat. Sorry, it should be on the right-hand side. Hi to Tony, Exlams, Kyle, and Joe. Thank you very much for joining us. I hope that we can provide some value for you today. Looks like Keith has finished his vital client update.
Celebrating with a little brew. Yeah.
A little brew, just a little one. You changed cup. You've got a new mug.
Yeah, I just nabbed that one off my father-in-law from his house. Right. So yeah, don't tell him.
Anyway, so client control. How much control, Keith, do we give clients? Maybe we could explain that for a start.
Well, yeah, okay. So it kind of changes project to project. But we do tend to, because of the nature of the work that we do, and the types of clients that we work with, I think we tend to err on the side of less control for the client in certain areas, and the reasons for that being that these are clients where kind of brand integrity is very, very important, and potentially they have a lot of people interacting with the back end of the site, like lots of content editors and things like that. And they just don't want the site to look like a total mess. You deliver this beautiful website, and then, months later, lots of different people have got their hands on it. They've all added their own colors and typefaces and font sizes and layouts, and it looks like a dog's dinner. So
like
what's that?
It starts to look a bit like I designed it.
No, that's not fair. But yeah, so I think we err on the side of less control from that point of view, but we do try to give kind of like as much control as possible over the actual content itself. So we like to think that if you can see something on the front end, you can edit it somewhere, whether it's an image or a string of text or whatever.
I think that brings in the question of like the sort of control that we're talking about, because that got me thinking actually that we often talk a lot about allowing or sort of giving control to the client for all of the things that we think they need to control. So like they're not locked down in WordPress. They have access to plugins menu and things like that. They are administrators on the website. It's their website. We believe they should be. You know, they don't have lockdown of those sorts of things, but the interface we build them is the thing that is more under control, I think, is what you're saying. Like, you know, we stick to brand colors and things like that. So there's kind of like, there's design control, I guess. Then there's content control. And then there's kind of like access control, should I call it? I don't know if that's the right word. There's kind of those three sorts of control. And I guess it's always a balancing act between those. And I think in terms of content control, we're firmly in the camp of everything. You can control everything. Like literally, we try and make it so that everything you see on that website, you can change.
Yeah.
Definitely. Even if that's in the footer or the header or the nav or the content in the middle, pretty much anything you can change. And I think that's kind of, in that aspect of control, we're at one end of that spectrum, which is like, let the client do everything. Definitely.
Yeah, agreed. And then we're at the slightly opposite end when it comes to design. Not fully at the other end, but yeah, definitely. I think it's worth kind of talking about, I guess, why we're talking about this, because more and more in the type of work that we do, I'm gonna guess that a lot of people come across this and maybe feel this way, especially if you're trying to work with the block editor. A lot of people that have used WordPress before, a lot of people that would choose a WordPress website is because they've used WordPress before. But a lot of those people that have used WordPress before have used it with a page builder of some kind. So lots of people have coming from Divi, lots of people coming from Elementor, some people coming from sites built with ACF, flexible content. So they all have a very different experience of what they think WordPress is and how kind of powerful it should be. I've just good work on the branding there, Mark. Just switching that out. That was my fault. Oh dear, what a shambles today. Anyway, I just hope my power doesn't get cut off like it did yesterday on our other podcast. Thanks, Craig. Yeah. Oh my word.
Craig just mentioned that we've got
I think now's the right time to say we do have another podcast called the Recruitment Website Show that we're just doing a bit of advertising for it today with our branding. You need to change the background colors more as well, Mark.
Clearly completely amateurs about this, but there you go.
Anywho,
I would use a background color, but I don't really know how to do it, so I won't bother.
I'll do it in a minute. That we'll just keep it interesting throughout the show. We'll just keep swapping things out. Professional broadcast, yeah. So highly professional on today's show. So a lot of our clients, and I'm guessing other people's clients, have come from like one of these page builders, and we did a demo yesterday actually for someone coming from a recruitment website vendor, like a proprietary system, and they want to move on to WordPress, and I think it was the marketing manager has experience using Beaver Builder, and she really likes Beaver Builder, and that's the kind of like experience that she kind of wants. So we were demoing the block editor, and I was just very aware of like, this might look really rubbish to her. Do you know what I mean? I was like, saying, look, you can change this, you can move this over here, and she's probably thinking, and like, I've been able to do. I've been able to do this in WordPress for the last 5 years. So, like, what's so special? So I think that's kind of sort of the trigger for today's discussion. And I think I'm changing. I think I'm changing my mind on how we should approach this. Not because I think we're approaching it the wrong way, but just because I'm not sure it's what we do is necessarily what people want, or maybe we're just not finding the right people. I don't know what you think, Mark. Like, more and more people seem to want that page builder experience, that full I can do whatever I want experience.
But interestingly, in yesterday's call as well, the marketing manager made it quite clear that in this particular website, there would only ever be one or two content editors. So therefore, that changes things slightly, because what she was saying was that in this instance, the two content editors, they want control but they will stick to the rules with that control because there's only 2 of them, and they can keep themselves within the boundaries of design.
Exactly.
Whereas the site we did, and I think you've just been working on actually, they have loads of content editors. We're talking like 30 or 40 people who log into the site to edit content, and keeping within the rules with so many people is so much more difficult. So they wanted it to be more restricted because they didn't want those editors going rogue and like changing colors that they shouldn't be and using font sizes and so forth that they shouldn't be. So I think you've got to look at your client, and you've got to think, what do they want?
Yeah.
What do they? And actually, what they want is often not what they need. So you need to get that in place as well. If you ask the client and say to them, well, what sort of control do you have? Oh, everything. I want to do everything. Everything. I want to be able to change everything.
Yeah.
But actually, that might not be what they need. So you need to be careful about what they want versus what they need. And it's about finding that balance between the 2.
They might not even know kind of that there is a balance. They might think it's just like one or the other, and they haven't really considered some of the intricacies and the pitfalls of getting all the control that they're asking for. So I think it's worth, on those calls, just like doing that little bit of education. So it's like, if you have all these tools, like every time you create this module on a page, like someone could add different padding to it every time, and it's just going to look absolutely naff. Like as you scroll through a website and everything looks slightly different, and
you can tell from a mile away.
Yeah, you can't exactly. It's like super. It just adds that amateur look to anything. As soon as you start losing that consistency across the design.
As always, and you're already doing it, so thank you very much, everyone. Do add your comments into the comment section. If you've got questions or comments on what we're saying, then please add them. That'd be great. Joe, thanks for joining us. He says, hey, both, really looking forward to today's episode. This topic is something I struggle with on nearly every project. And as I said, it is tricky to get right, isn't it, in terms of providing that flexibility, but allowing them like not to break the site. And it is something that can be difficult to get right. So hopefully we'll be able to help you out with some ideas. Benjamin says, I think ACF is the best way to control what people can do. Content only looks similar and goes in the right direction. Content only, is that obviously changing content only, I presume it means?
Sure.
Design control is the first issue every agency has had about site editing and the Gutenberg project. Yeah, I think that was kind of the worry, wasn't it? That, block editor, anyone can change anything, and it was quite a worry. So, but there's features in the block editor now that have come on since we first got it, like block locking. And I was reading a post from Rich Tabor, I think it was, about block patterns with content only editing. So you can create a block pattern, lock all the blocks and settings, yet the person can actually go in and change the text and the images and the videos and things like that. So actually that sounds really good as well, and it's moving forward. So it's great.
Yeah. I think maybe it is worth then talking about some of the ways, or we'll jump to Benjamin's comment. But then I was just thinking maybe we can talk about some of the ways that we do try to restrict things whenever we do. Yeah.
Benjamin says many agencies need options to automatically lock every block, but Gutenberg is thought out of the WP site creation area. I think that's a great thing. Excuse me.
Yeah.
So go on then. Ways that we lock down the editing experience, or
really simple color palettes. So I just tend to just give them a color palette. So something like 7 to 8 different colors to choose from, and there's no color picker. I have found that is slightly restrictive, but sorry, it's obviously restrictive. That's the whole point. A few occasions, like if you want to add like, I don't know, like an error type message to a page, or even if you're doing some debugging, or you want to like flag some bit of content as this isn't finished, so you want to make the text red. It's like, I don't have a red because everything's beautifully like in the color palette. So that's one example. On a very similar angle, font sizes as well.
Just coming back to color a second, before you move on. So something that is probably a healthy balance with color is that you can provide a color palette, but also allow a custom color. So you're saying to the user, which was mentioned on that call yesterday, He was like, yeah, I do want my color palette there, but actually I want to be able to create a custom color. And actually, the call yesterday had a very valid reason why you want to actually do that, actually, for the page. So that's an option as well. And also, just to mention colors as well, even if you're using things like ACF, which have, like, they don't use the native block color palette. And Ian will probably correct me wrong if I think he's on the here. You can set a color palette in the ACF control as well. We've done that in the past when using ACF, so you can still give them the palette in there, which can be done.
I'm assuming we haven't actually used ACF in this way recently, but I'm assuming they're going to be hooking into ThemeJSON and grabbing the color palettes.
I would hope so. That would be really cool. I think they mentioned that on one of the calls that that I watched with the ACF team, with Ian and I can't remember the other chap's name. Sorry, but yeah, I think they mentioned that. Yeah, makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so yeah, color palette. But then you say like give them a color palette and then give them a color picker, but then you're not restricting anything anymore. As soon as they've got a color picker, the color palette could be there saying, at least if you're going to use the green, make it the right green, I guess. But then, you would get people just adding in any horrific color combination they could think of. And then accessibility is also a concern then. If you've created like an accessible color palette, and then you just allow people to add whatever they want. I know there are warnings within WordPress whenever you choose a poor color combination, which is amazing. But yeah, that's something to think about. And then, font size was another one that's really obvious for me. I don't really want people choosing their own font sizes by the pixel for every single use case. So you get a design with like 17 different font sizes on it. So I tend to lock that down and remove the custom font sizes. We have not yet enabled the dimensions controls on any of the websites that we've built. So people don't have access to margin and padding rules. And that also goes for block gap, because I hate block gap. So I've just stripped it out of everything that I've done so far until they sort that out. So like spacing rules, we tend to lock down for the same reason.
And that's just done in CSS then, is it?
Well, yeah, because like in my opinion, layout should be handled by the theme, and I know themes are on a slippery slope at the minute, but I want someone to be able to add a block to a page, and that block is kind of context aware, using some CSS saying, if you've got a heading following another heading, you might want to reduce the margin between those headings compared to if there's a heading following a paragraph. And I can do that in CSS. And why would I want to leave that up to the content editor whenever I can set that rule and it's right every time? And they don't need to think about it because they're not designers or content editors.
That's a great point. Yeah.
So, and things like, if something is a full width group block, for example, I give it extra margin and padding than if it's like a default width or a wide width. So I set all those things instead of the user having to think about that every single time. Because it's not just about users making mistakes. It's also like improving the speed of the workflow, the content editing experience. Because if you're having to worry about padding and margin and gaps and font sizes every time you add anything to a page, is that just not just like a horrific kind of cognitive load that you just don't want to put on people?
Yeah, I'd say it is.
Yeah.
They shouldn't. I think they shouldn't be. In an ideal world, they shouldn't have to worry about that. They should just be able to drop a block on a page, and if it follows a heading or it follows an image or if it just kind of like works and behaves itself, and that's our job, really, isn't it? To get that right for them, because that's what it should do. I just think that's
this is my worry about the kind of relentless attack on the concept of themes. Is that I've said this before. I truly believe that one of WordPress's greatest strengths was themes, was the fact that anybody could go find a theme they like the look of, and their website just looked good. WordPress sites typically looked better than any other site on the web because the themes were great. Not because
Yep.
people that use WordPress were good designers. It's because they had chosen themes that had solved all these design problems,
Yeah,
and now
good
we're
point.
putting all those design problems back on the user. And I just, sorry, this is something I'm quite passionate about.
No, I think you make really good points.
Yeah.
Just go through a few more comments. Ian said we already do. This is when we were talking about using things from theme JSON. So he says we actually do that already, and then followed that up with this is just music to my ears. We just need some better docs around it. I think docs are so important, and I've said this before. And the ACF ones historically been great. So yeah, docs are always good.
Yeah.
So if there's a way of doing it already, then awesome. Let us know.
Yeah.
What about everyone watching? How do you not lock down your sites? Is there anything that you do that we should be doing? Because actually, we're always looking to learn, and whatever things you do, it'd be lovely to hear.
Yeah, I'm also interested to hear what other people's clients are asking for. Yep. Like, are they all asking for more and more control, or do other people find that occasionally their clients actually do want things locked down a little bit? So yeah, it'd be interesting to hear about some of that.
I think it's interesting because we've had clients that want full control. We've had clients that we've actually demoed the block editor to. I can think of one in particular, and hated it when we showed it them, really, and actually just continued to hate it throughout, even though we built it with them, because we convinced them like it's the way to go. It's the new WordPress editing experience.
Yeah.
But they still consistently hated it. So they were one of those. And then we've had clients that just love not having control. They love the fact that they have to choose a brand color. They can't get it wrong and that sort of thing. So I do think it is very client dependent. But at the same time, I think part of our job is to educate clients how much control they actually need. Because if you ask someone, they'll probably say, I want all control. Because people don't like giving up control. Simple as.
Yeah. Interesting comment there from Excelams. So I removed default Gutenberg blocks and rebuild them using ACF blocks. So
interesting. Why
literally all the blocks are replaced. And I would ask why, what's wrong with the group block that you get, or a paragraph block, or a heading block? Like, why would you want to rule your own version of those things? And also, I would actually love, I know we can't do it right now, well, we probably technically could, but I would love to see what that looks like from an editing experience. What does that UI look like when it's all ACF all over the place? I don't know if you've got anything you can send us or tweet to us or something. That'd be really, really interesting, even if it's a DM. If you don't want to put anything public, I'd be really interested to see what that looks like from an editing point of view.
I'd also be interested to see, is there anybody out there that actually restricts the blocks that users can use? So when we first started with the block editor, we kind of took that approach. We took an allowed list approach. So here are a list of blocks that you are allowed to use. And that included all of the sensible core ones, paragraphs and groups and images and columns and videos and, but we remove in the ones like the verse block. Obviously, everybody needs a verse block.
What on earth was that ever there for?
I know. Anyway, there you go. We removed that one because it's just confusing. But then actually, I think we've migrated now to doing it the opposite way around, actually, and using just allowing all the blocks there and then pushing other blocks in there when we want to build more bespoke blocks for things. Usually using ACF to do so. I can't actually remember the reason for that. There was a reason for it, but I can't remember what it was now.
Well, partly because with updates, remember the list block? So it used to just be one block, and then it became the list block and a list item block. And we hadn't allowed the list item block, so all of our list blocks broke.
And the buttons block was the same.
Buttons block was
because that now has a buttons block with a button block inside it.
Yeah, was that not always like that? No, maybe not. I don't know.
No.
But anyway,
galleries was the other one, because galleries has image blocks inside it, doesn't it? I think.
Yeah.
Like that. You're right.
But yeah, the list was the
one
that stands out to me because it just totally broke.
yeah, it was a bit of a nightmare. But
yeah.
Hey ho.
Yeah.
Right. we've done half an hour nearly, so I think unless anyone's got any burning questions, then now's the time to ask them because we're going to wrap this up. I think.
Start typing. No, I think we're good. I think we should wrap it up. Keep it short and sweet. It's like what we like to do.
As always, if you have any suggestions for topics to discuss, then do let us know because we're always on the hunt for topics to discuss and things we can chat about. Otherwise, we'll do something again at the same time next week. Peter has a question or a comment.
Last comment.
So Peter says, in my experience, clients appreciate freedom from choice. That is, they have the options they need, but are not overwhelmed with the options they don't need. I think that's a very good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's like kind of what we're all striving for, isn't it? Really, to find that balance of they only get what they need.
I hope that is where the block editor can get to, where I can define what I need to in my theme, but give the client the power to override that. So I set really good defaults for things. I just don't think that's there yet with like theme JSON. And to be fair, like JSON is not the place to be writing this kind of stuff. It's not like fun to write effectively write CSS in JSON, and like how you would go about writing like adjacent sibling selectors in a JSON file, like God knows. Anyway, so yeah,
I wouldn't know how to write them in CSS. Never mind a JSON file.
Yeah, and we've had a topic suggestion, GDPR. I will probably not add that as a topic. We are not qualified to talk about that. So
yeah, it's a good topic though. I'm just not sure we're the right people to tackle that topic. Maybe we could get a guest on that is the right person. I don't know.
Yeah,
if people would find it useful, that's certainly a suggestion.
That would be interesting, wouldn't it? We haven't done a guest in a while.
No. Interesting.
Could do it.
Anyway,
could do it. Yeah, I'll have a think about that. But
right. Yeah. Let's wrap it up. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I think today has been the highest number of people that have been watching at any one time. I'm not going to tell you the number because that would just be giving it away. But
and it's embarrassingly low.
But thank you for joining us. It's really nice to have people listening and joining in and commenting and giving us questions. So thank you very much. As again, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe, like the video, and if you've done all that, we'll see you next week, same time. We'll see you then.
See you then. Bye.